The history of the Zodiac Killer is defined by a massive discrepancy. The killer claimed to have murdered 37 people. In reality, police investigations linked him to just 5 confirmed deaths. This gap
Between the evidence and the claim allowed an unidentified murderer to exert an influence far beyond his actual crimes. He turned himself into a recurring character in American culture by inflating his presence in the public imagination. The first attacks in late 1968 were localized and anonymous, following the pattern of many unsolved California murders at the time. The shift occurred in August 1969, when 3 major newspapers received nearly identical handwritten letters marked with a distinctive cross-circle signature. The author threatened to go on a killing spree if the newspapers didn't print his code on their front pages. These letters contained the first use of a specific self-given name. This is the Zodiac speaking. By utilizing the reach of the press, he ensured that his threats were seen by every household in the region. At Lake Berryessa, the killer moved away from the cover of darkness, carrying out a theatrical attack in broad daylight. He approached a couple while wearing a black executioner-style hood, complete with his cross-circle symbol stitched onto the chest. The violence then moved into the heart of San Francisco, with the fatal shooting of taxi driver Paul Stein. Despite matching the description of the killer, he was allowed to walk away from the scene due to a radio dispatch error. He used this specific failure in his following letters to mock the police and suggest that he was beyond their reach. Panic intensified when he threatened to attack a school bus full of children, forcing the entire state into a defensive posture. He used ciphers to keep the public and the media constantly engaged with his narrative. His most famous puzzle, the 340 cipher, remained unsolved for 51 years. When it was finally cracked in 2020, it revealed a message stating he was not afraid of the gas chamber. The complexity of these codes was intended to keep the investigation focused on his puzzles rather than his identity. While the Zodiac became a fixed point in pop culture, the actual investigation was a cycle of dead ends and frustration. Arthur Lee Allen emerged as the lead suspect because he owned a Zodiac brand watch and had connections to the crime scenes. He fit the psychological and behavioral profile that investigators had spent years constructing. However, the physical evidence was undeniable. His fingerprints and DNA failed to match the samples collected from the actual crimes. This remains the central conflict of the case. A suspect can align with the story perfectly, yet be cleared by the hard data of forensic science. After 1974, the letters stopped as abruptly as they had begun. Whether the individual responsible died, was jailed for another crime, or simply moved on, the investigation never found a definitive answer. The case remains open today, centered on 5 confirmed victims and a mountain of unsolved puzzles. Even without a name or a conviction, the persona constructed